Hi, Linz.
Hello, Jessi.
Good to see you.
Always good to see you too.
And hi, everyone joining. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit about Tilt and see our demo.
Absolutely. Let's start with introductions. I can go first. Yes. Hello, everybody. Really excited to share Tilt with you all. I am Lyndsey Haag. I sit in just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm director of partnerships. I've been with the company actually 5 years this month, which is crazy. Time flies. I sit underneath Jessi in the sales team, work very closely with Jessi and our AEs. Really excited to be here today.
All right. My name is Jessi Johanson. I'm Vice President of Sales. I have been at Tilt for going on 6+ years. So been a while doing this thing with Lyndsey for many, many years. Yeah, and we both work with our existing customers on renewals, in addition to all of our new business accounts as well. So we're really excited to share Tilt today with some of our partners. We know some of our existing customers have joined already. It's nice to see you all, and then some folks who are engaged with our sales team. So it's a great mix. You want me to jump into the platform, Linz? Okay.
Yep, that's great.
Amazing. All right. Also, just so everyone knows, I have some construction going on outside of my house that I didn't expect. So if it gets loud, I might kick it back over to Lyndsey to kind of jump in for me. But Linz, just give me kind of some kind of.
I will. I will. Sounds
Okay.
good. Realize.
I know. Seriously. Okay, Linz, can you everybody see my screen?
Yep, you're
Okay,
good.
wonderful. So just to kind of get us started here, we essentially have four primary users that Tilt supports. The employee who's taking leave, their manager, in addition to the HR or people team, and then also the payroll team. So I'll walk you through each one of those views today, and I'm going to start with the employee. One thing to note is the way that the leave gets into the system can either happen directly from the employee coming to Tilt and requesting the leave, or they can go to HR and then HR can put it in the system. So I'm going to kick us off, kind of pretend the leave has already been entered, they've already requested that time, and now Tilt has determined eligibility for things like FMLA, state programs, company benefits, things like that. And so what we do once we review all of the information, determine eligibility, is we build a leave plan for the employee. And that's what we're looking at here. So April is taking a medical leave. This one is continuous. Just something to note, we do manage all leave types, including continuous and intermittent. And with your intermittent leaves, we will manage an unplanned intermittent. So this could be something like they have FMLA approved time due to migraines. And so it's unexpected when they'll be taking time off. Or it could be a planned intermittent paternity leave that obviously is something we can manage as well. So for April, she has her own leave plan. One of the things that we start with is what we call a leave map. So this is the kind of more visual view of her leave. We provide this to every employee with their leave plan, and this will be unique to them and their circumstances. So for her, she lives in DC, and so this is showing all of the different paid leave components and also all of the unpaid job protection. A lot of times employees don't know exactly what these things mean to them, and so they can click in and learn more about what short-term disability is, what their company plan is, or what the state benefits are, including all of the job protection as well. So it's very interactive. All of these dates will change in real time according to the leave. So if the start date is delayed or the leave gets extended, those things would update as well. In addition to underneath, we are tracking benefit balances. So this is where she would be able to see what's approved, what's been denied, what's pending. And in addition to that, all of the benefits that are used as of today and anything that's planned within this leave. And so that's for every benefit within the leave, all tracked here. I'll move over to the other very important component of someone's leave. So not only are they really wanting to know how much time do I have, what is job protected, what is paid, but how much am I getting paid while I'm on leave? And as you all know, oftentimes the amount that the employee is getting paid while they're on leave could be different than what they typically take home, or it might even be the same, but all of the sources are different. And so we want to show the employee all of their sources of pay and break that down by pay period. So for example, she'll be getting $1,000 from DC, $600 from STD, and then also the top up from her company policy is the $2,500, bringing her to this $4,000 amount of her total take home. We really want employees to understand upfront what this leave is going to mean for their pay. Number one, it helps them plan for their leave, but it also helps them understand why some of the tasks they have to do later are so important, because a lot of those things will impact pay. So that brings me to their to-do items. The to-do items are, again, very, very custom and personalized to the employee taking leave. So we would never show something to the employee that isn't applicable to them for their specific scenario. So for example, April in this leave needs to provide medical certification so that we can determine whether she is approved or denied for FMLA. So here she would start this task when it's time to complete this. We explain what she needs to do. We explain why. I think this is actually really key for employees to just understand the context and the importance as to why they're completing this step. And then we provide all of the templates here. So all she needs to do is download the template, complete her portion of the form, take the rest to her provider, and as soon as that's completed, she can drag and drop it here. And that way, all of our documentation, all of our medical certification is kept within the system to ensure privacy and security, and also just streamlining the communication process between Tilt and the employee. To be clear, we are reviewing the medical certification and we are determining eligibility and making the designation for FMLA. This is not something that the HR team needs to continue to do. We would take that off your plate. In addition to things like FMLA, for this leave, this is a great example of something where the employee also has to apply for short-term disability and also has to apply for some of the state benefits. In this case, paid family leave or maybe disability. So for the short-term disability here, right now it's due later, but just to give you an example of what we're providing. One of the things that we want to make sure that employees understand is exactly what the short-term disability policy is for your company. Every company might have a little bit of a different flavor or different components of their policy. The weekly max benefit will be listed, the elimination period timeline will be listed, and then we'll also explain the time that she will get depending on the leave type. So for example, if it's a birthing leave, she might get 6 or 8 weeks depending on the type of birth. And then from here, we will list everything the employee needs to have on hand to file the claim. And then we will explain the best and fastest way possible to submit that claim. A lot of times that's calling a 1-800 number so you can get fast-tracked. The other options might be logging into a portal. We will include direct links to your portal so that the employee can go directly where they need to go to file that claim. The employee then will continue working through their checklist. Again, this is dynamic. It will change based on the things they've done, what's overdue, and everything has a due date according to all of the leave dates. And we will be sending nudges and notifications outside of the system. One thing to note here as I'm going through this plan is the employee can self-serve pretty much everything throughout their leave, and a lot of employees prefer to do it that way. However, there are certain scenarios or different types of employees who do want that special extra touch or support or do have questions along the way. And we do have a leave success team who supports the employee throughout the leave journey. They can contact their leave success manager through texting, scheduling a call, or email. And something really exciting that we're announcing is we are launching call support, so they can actually call in to do the leave intake or change their dates. So that's coming soon. Just another really great way for employees to be able to get in touch with Tilt and be supported throughout their leave. Lyndsey, I'm going to pause here before I jump into the intermittent information, but is there anything that you want me to touch on or that any questions we need to answer yet?
Yes, thanks, Jessi. Good pause point here. Okay, so just a couple in the chat. You hit on this, but maybe I know you clicked into the short-term disability, but one of the questions, just to go into it maybe a little bit as an example,
Yep.
was do we support all 50 states, and then specifically states that have PFL? And yes, let's stop there. So paid family leave states, do we support those? And then all 50 states. So just making sure we clarify that and how we do support those specific states as well.
Yes, thank you for asking that question. I'm sorry for not saying that up front. Yes, all 50 states, all cities, all paid family leave programs, in addition to things like San Francisco PPLO. So we have you covered in all of those. We do have an in-house leave compliance team that is comprised of attorneys and specialists for things like ADA. And so we're making sure that we always stay on top of any leave laws that might be upcoming, changing, or newly launched. And all of their brilliant knowledge is also part of what informs our product as well, so that we know that all of the rules engine and everything that's powering the system is always up to date with those leave laws.
Cool, thank you. Okay, a couple more here. To answer this question here, does the FMLA form, for example, for this person, April, does FMLA form have her name, company, due dates pre-populated on the form?
Yes. And this is actually a great place to kind of, yeah. So I'm planting a little seed here as well. So we are actually building out a much more robust solution for forms. We know forms can be very time consuming, both for HR and employees. And so what we're building into the tech and is launching later in September or early October are going to be pre-population of all types of leave forms. So things like short-term disability forms, state forms, FMLA, as I mentioned, all of those things will be pre-populated so that you can then basically submit them where they need to go, but you don't really have to spend a lot of time filling them out. And we will tackle the most common forms first, and we'll launch those first. But we honestly anticipate just rolling out more forms to that feature as we go. So I imagine, whatever form is on your mind is definitely going to be on that list.
Cool. Thanks, Jessi. One last question for you, and then I'll let you go. Do you get notified if the leave is approved by the state or the carrier? And is this reflected into the system?
Great question. The state, no. And it's very, very difficult to be able to do that. So the way that we navigate the state system is we ask employees to share the notice that they get from the state. That way we can just double check that everything we expected to happen did happen. Let's just say there's a scenario where the state denied a leave that we thought was going to be approved. We will review that with the employee to make sure that we can kind of troubleshoot with them. Sometimes it could be that the employee had missing information or filed it incorrectly. We can kind of help them, resubmit that and get that claim approved. With carriers, we have a lot more availability and flexibility because they're more willing to work with us. So a lot of times we have our customers add us to the portal. We also will have our customers add us as receive communications from carriers so we can get the notifications when something is approved or denied. You can also send us a file. There's a lot of different ways that we can work with them. And then we do also have some customers who prefer just to have the employee send us the document when the short-term disability carrier approves. So lots of options there for us to be notified and in the loop with carrier decisions.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessi.
You bet. Okay, I will finish with some intermittent information and then we can move over to HR. And I muted myself. Here we go. Okay, the other thing I did mention is that we have the ability to track and manage intermittent leaves. We know that this is a major headache for a lot of teams, especially if you are using a spreadsheet. And this essentially gives you a way for us to track all of that time on your behalf down to the minute. So this is where an employee would be able to come into the system, put in the time that they're taking off, give us notes, and then also save that. Once that is submitted to our team, we are manually reviewing this. And the reason why is because we want to make sure that this time, number one, is they're eligible to receive it. And number two, that it's, legit time off. One of the things we don't want to see is employees taking every Friday off. And they were approved for intermittent time, but it seems kind of crazy that it happens to be every Friday that they have a migraine. So we're just trying to kind of put human eyes on this. And so what we do is when we are reviewing it, it will be in a pending state. Once we approve it, it will be published, and then you can see all of that leave time here, and so can the employee. One last thing is once we review MedCerts, the employee can see here that we have accepted the medical certification. They are approved for continuous time due to condition. We'll put the dates here. It's just a nice way for the employee to see information at a glance. And then last thing I'll mention on the employee experience is that they can come into the system and confirm return to work and start of a leave. And we also have this capability via text. So once their leave starts, they can confirm that the leave has started via text. They will get a notification from us asking to do so. And the same thing is true for return to work. So we are handling the whole return to work process on your behalf. That way we know when employees are returning. We can confirm that in the system. And then you also have peace of mind that the employee is returning as expected. Anything you want me to touch on before I jump over to HR, Linz?
Yes, actually, let's just hit the question really fast. Sometimes we struggle with employees reporting their own time. So is there an option for leaders to report time when an employee calls in FMLA?
Yes, absolutely. So the time can be submitted by a manager or by HR. I will also say that we hear that a lot when we talk to buyers. And one of the other ways we solve for that is we actually are prompting them to add time and reminding them to do so. So if we know they are on an unplanned intermittent medical leave, then we will send them a notification depending on the circumstances. It might be weekly, it might be bi-weekly, where we say, hey, did you log your time in Tilt? Did you take time off this week? You need to log your FMLA time. So a lot of times we actually can solve this problem just by being a little bit more engaged with the employee, because that's our job and you have a million other jobs to do. So that's hard for you to do consistently. Good, Linz?
Yep, we're good here.
Okay, amazing. I will share HR. Okay. So one of the things I mentioned is that employees can come directly to Tilt and request a leave, but we also have a more flexibility than just that. So HR can request a leave on behalf of an employee. One of the things to note here is that our integration really powers a lot of the new leave survey. So we are gathering most of the employee demographic data, pay history, and then also eligibility information directly from your HRIS. And so that gives us all the details we need without you having to manually enter in data. In addition to that, you can also invite the employee. So we do have a lot of customers who prefer to still have the intake call live with HR. We're completely fine with that if that's your preference. And so typically that workflow looks like the employee comes to you, you sit down and have the conversation you want to have with the employee, and then you invite them to Tilt, and they'll get an email saying, log in, start your leave request. And then they've kind of already been introduced by you to who we are. So again, completely open to your preferences, but wanted to note that we are flexible with that for you. Once leaves are requested, regardless of what method you decide to use, we will have a pending leaves queue. This gives you a good visibility into what's happening with a leave request before it turns into the active state. So essentially, we're reviewing this, we're making sure that that this is a true leave and that this person, is potentially eligible for things like FMLA, company benefits, all of that. If there's something we need from you or it's time for you to review a leave request, it will say waiting on HR. If we are reviewing something, then this is where you would see that we're reviewing it. That means that we're handling it. Once a leave is active, it goes into the leaves tab, and this is where you can really see all of those details for each leave. So if we go to April again, Now you can see the details of her leave without having to go into her leave plan. So things like documents that have been shared, it will also tell you when we're still waiting on the employee. So this is really nice. This person, for example, might have something that's overdue, and they might be telling you that they didn't know that or they submitted something. But here you can see, hey, Tilt is still waiting on you to submit this. And so you might be able to nudge the employee or help the employee if they're asking you questions. Again, we're taking all of this off your plate, but really trying to make sure that it's visible to you. We know that's one of the biggest pain points, is just not having the information at your fingertips. In addition to that, you can also add documents to the system yourself. If there's anything internally that you're tracking or any kind of documentation that you like to keep all together, then for record keeping purposes, we can keep that all here for you. We also do a very robust FMLA reporting for you. So you can export a report for every single employee, and this will give you the breakdown of time they've used, when they've used it, how much they have planned, how much they have remaining. And that way you have all of this, again, just at your fingertips, easy to pull. We give you the nice view of the payroll as well. There's a different payroll admin side, which I'll show you, but this gives you kind of that big overview per pay period, where all the sources of income are coming from and what the total pay is for that employee. And then lastly, again, back to the visibility piece, we want you to know what's happening with a leave. So all of the different activities that are happening during a leave, if we update pay, if we change dates, if we add documents, if we send a message, all of that lives here. And then we can also send you notes. So I mentioned we have a leave success team. Those leave success managers are the folks on the background that are supporting the employee, helping with their questions, reviewing medical documentation, checking for intermittent time off. They're really that whole team that's supporting the employee, but also they're an extension of your team. And sometimes they need to communicate something important to you. And so this is the method for how we will get in touch with you if we need to let you know that something out of the ordinary, or you need to know that something different has happened with that leave. We will pin it to the top. You get a notification in your email that one of your leave success teammates has sent you a note, and here's where you can view that. If you have any questions or you want to meet about a leave, you also have a customer success manager that's dedicated to your account, and they will help you set up those calls. And then also, in addition to that, you might have a regular cadence set up with that customer success managers to review everything all together. One other thing I wanted to mention, we also provide the ability to do cohorts. So this is just an example of a cohort. Let's just say that you have multiple HRBPs. This is the most common use case, but there's a lot of use cases for cohorts. If you have HRBPs and each HRBP is responsible for a different department or location, you can create custom cohorts in here. So if I click on team one, now team one, if I'm that HRBP, will only see the leaves that are relevant to me. This is really nice because if you have a lot of leaves, or I mean, even if you don't, it's just really nice to be able to see all of those in one place so that you know exactly what you need to be responsible for and you can easily find information. Again, cohorts are completely custom, and you can, filter by all kinds of different things like location, employee type, department, things like that. Lyndsey, before I jump over to payroll, anything else you want me to mention or any questions I should answer?
I was really getting into your demo. Yes, there are quite a bit. So let me I was organizing a little bit, and I feel like some of them you have already answered. But let's maybe reiterate, just making sure that we hit on them. I don't want to feel like we left anybody out. So how do you notify HR or payroll of hours or compensation that needs to be tracked, paid during a leave? Which again, you did show it in the HR view, but just to kind of reiterate, how does HR or the payroll team know what they're needing to pay the employee?
Ooh, I'm actually going to do a deep dive into that here in a moment.
Okay.
In that one.
Okay. We can do that then. And then let's go back to the intermittent. So what if an employee goes over the approved intermittent time, such as like a flare up per week or month?
Yeah, great question. Our leave compliance team has guardrails set in place for that. And so what we will do in most cases is recert, which we will manage that whole process. If the employee has exhausted their FMLA, there might be a situation where they need more leave time as an accommodation. And in that case, we can send paperwork, ask for more medical documentation, and then we will give you all of the information you need to decide if you do want to approve leave as an accommodation and for how much time. We do not manage the interactive process, but we will give you all of the tools that you need in order to do that, all of the data, all of the information from the employee. And then after you make the decision, we will continue to support the employee and track that time. But like I said, if they have more FMLA time available and they are taking more time than what they were previously eligible for, we will do a recert process. We always, by the way, loop you in these situations. That way you are very aware that you have an employee who's been asking for more time than what they're eligible to take.
Awesome. And then one other thing to keep in mind as you're going through the payroll,
Yeah.
the question says, does the system calculate the top up due in case of a retro merit increase?
Oh, okay. Great question. Yeah, I can touch on that.
Okay. I think that's good for now. And then we'll touch on maybe integrations here after this.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's talk about payroll. All right, I'm going to get a little bit in the weeds here because I think it's important to understand. So, one of the things we built into our tech that makes it really powerful is we have mimicked all of the calculators that the states are using to calculate state pay. So that's first and foremost, that's in the tech. For California, for example, I'm sure most of you are rolling your eyes because it is so complicated to determine what the weekly benefit amount is likely going to be, because they're looking at historical pay over a 12-month period and looking at the highest earning quarter, not including the most recent quarter. That's honestly like pretty hard to calculate if you don't have some kind of baked in calculator or a really fancy spreadsheet. And so we have done that in the tech. And so it's really easy for us to calculate because all we need are the inputs, which again, we're getting from your payroll system or your HRIS. And so that's one thing that's in the technology. In addition to that, as I mentioned, we customize this based on your short-term disability policies. So the elimination period, weekly benefit amount, and what your actual length of short-term is, or long-term. We do long-term as well. So we put that, we layer that in on top of the calculations for all of our customers for their unique policies. And then on top of that, we are ingesting your company policies. So the question was, what if we do top up and there's a merit increase and we need to kind of go back and do an adjustment in order to accommodate the merit increase? So that is all something we can do because we're building in your policies into the technology. So again, for every leave, we're calculating the leave pay based on all of those circumstances, including your pay period, pay schedule, all the prorating, whether you allow PTO for top up or to cover the elimination period, and then all of those policies I just mentioned. It's super complicated if you're just, a human doing it yourself, but that's where technology really shines. And so let me talk to you about what it looks like once all the calculations have happened. So if you are a payroll team and you are running payroll for your bi-monthly pay period, then you would come into Tilt and you would close your pay period and you would export your report. The report has all kinds of data in it, honestly, more than most people ever really need. And so you can customize what you're wanting to export. For most systems, you need hours and dollar amounts. Oftentimes dates, maybe even the leave type is helpful as well. Whatever you need to export, you can export. It downloads into a CSV. I'm going to show you in the tech what the CSV looks like. Essentially, it's just a list of all of the employees, dates, type, all of that. And then all of the sources of pay broken down by hour and amount. Even employee wages that are happening during that pay period. So, for example, if an employee goes out in the middle of a pay period, which is usually the case, because wouldn't it be nice if everybody started on the first day of a pay period? So we list that for you as well. And then the important piece is what you owe. So total company paid is this. This is what you need to add to the pay run. But you can see here that oftentimes what you are paying is different than what the employee is receiving in total, because the employee is receiving pay from things like paid leave in Oregon or short-term disability, things like that. In the situation that was brought up about adjustments, number one, we can handle merit increases. So, a lot of companies do that annually. We can definitely help you there. It's great, that people are giving merit increases to employees who are on leave. So we want to make that seamless for you. So we would adjust salaries in the tech, and then we would work on adjustments. We do have payroll specialists in-house. So if there's something complicated that comes up, they can work through that with you. And then in addition, if there is an adjustment that's calculated, let's just say that an employee, we thought they were returning during one pay period, but they extended and returned in another, but you had already paid them, then we could make that adjustment for you. We'll calculate it and we'll add it to the next pay run. So here is where you would see either, you're recouping funds, maybe it's negative $500, or maybe you need to add $500 to the next pay run. That would be listed in this column. In the export, we also give you the reason why. We know payroll teams very particular about pay, which you should be. So we just want to give you that visibility so you know why you are adding the adjustment to the pay period. One other thing, quick, we can support all types of pay schedules. And for companies that have multiple pay schedules for different employee types, we can also do that for you as well. All right, I will pause there. Linz, do we have any other questions I should answer before I talk about managers?
Yes, that's awesome. Let's talk about how do HR teams get informed when the example here is when an employee is extending their leave and they're telling their leave success team.
Wow.
How are we communicating that back to HR and letting them know?
Yeah, a couple ways. Number one, we have automated notifications. When an employee requests an extension, that is sent directly to us and HR. So before we even approve anything, you know that the request has come in. But I will also say, again, back to us being partners with you, we will also have a conversation with you. So the last thing we want to do is approve an extension, even if they're eligible for it, without letting you know, because we know that you're trying to plan. So we don't want you to be surprised that somebody isn't returning to work as expected. The other thing we're doing too, and this is a great segue into the manager piece, which I'll get into, we include managers in our process and our platform because they also need to be informed. So if an employee does request an extension, we approve it either because they're eligible for it or because in partnership with HR, we are approving the time, then we also want the manager to know. So that's updated in their dashboard. They're sent an email, and they can also talk to the leave success team if they need to as well.
Cool. Thanks. A couple more here. So I'm just going to read this. Can an employee have multiple approved leaves, such as intermittent FMLA and intermittent medical accommodation for times when FMLA is not available?
Okay. I feel like I'm going to answer this as best I can, but I do feel like I need to phone a friend if any of my leave compliance are on here. Okay, so let me answer this a couple ways. Number one, high level, big picture is yes, we can approve and accommodate multiple leaves that are happening at the same time. An example of that, which I think is what this person is getting at, is that it could be that there are approved for intermittent medical and intermittent FMLA. Or they've exhausted FMLA, but they're eligible for a state medical. Then we could run state medical, and maybe it's CIFRA. So there's all different types of things that could be happening at the same time, and it's very complex. I know everyone knows this, but the important thing is that we are making sure that we are managing all of this in a compliant way on your behalf, and also a way that the employee understands what's going on. I think to answer the question, the answer is yes. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Jessi. Sorry to challenge.
No.
Yes. Okay. And then right before, let's just kind of, we'll get to this one. So it says, do you only offer full service leave management, or do you offer the system that can be used by the HR team without the involvement to Tilt at a lower cost?
Great question. Love it. We are going to be rolling out an option that is more of a self-serve type of model. I will say that right now what we are offering is the fully outsourced solution. So we are taking on eligibility determinations. We're taking on the support for your employees. We're doing all of the pay calculations, all of that. But we do know that there is a world where HR teams have all of those resources in-house, and what you really need is to get off spreadsheets or, frankly, outdated systems that are in the market, and you need better technology. And so, yes, the answer is that we don't have it yet, but it is coming. It is something that we know we need to offer a big segment of the market, and we're really excited to launch that at some point next year.
Awesome. One that just came in, does your system also account for if an employee is applying PTO towards a leave?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm trying to see, it's probably in here somewhere. I don't have any leaves in here that are using PTO, but the answer is yes. What we need from you is, first of all, your policy up front. So are you only allowing employees to use PTO to cover an elimination period, or are you allowing them to extend their leave using PTO if they have some? So we just need to know kind of all the details of that. By the way, we can make recommendations too and give you benchmarking if that's helpful, if you're kind of thinking through these things. But then we would need the bank of time that they have available. Usually that comes in through a file feed or through the HRIS integration. Depends on how you track that. And then we would apply the appropriate amount of time to that leave, and you would be able to see that on the leave export. Most then payroll teams are exporting that when they run their pay run.
Awesome. Okay. I think we're good here. Let's transition to manager.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Give me just a minute to kind of switch up my demo here.
Once you're doing that, I can fill it. There's a couple questions on here about integrations for HRIS and payroll. So the really nice thing, we were really flexible with kind of what customers' preferences are. So some of our smaller customers don't really prefer to set up any sort of integration. So we do have the offering or the option to do a manual upload. So first and foremost, they can have a manual upload to be able to pull from a CSV of all of the employee demographic information. We also, for most HRS and payroll systems, we can do an SFTP file feed. We would do that during the implementation period as well. So a couple that just kind of specifically in the chat, ADP, yes. I think Dayforce was on there. UKG, I think, was on there as well, if I remember. I'd have to scroll up. But then we also have some API integrations as well. Exciting. I don't know if anybody was on any socials. Today, we just launched Paylocity. But we also have Workday, Paycor, Rippling, a couple others to be announced here shortly as well. So we have several different options. I would say that it's pretty safe to say that we would be able to work with really any of your HRIS systems, payroll systems during that implementation period to be able to set that up, to pull that employee demographic data.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yep.
Okay, one other thing I'm going to tease while we're here is our new leave planner. One of the things that we have heard from existing customers is that it would be nice if employees could see what's available to them before they request a leave. So we do have a leave planner now. It is available to employees before they request. This will give them the ability to see what might be available to them for all different types of leave scenarios. We're starting right now with parental leaves, but we're moving into medical and caregiving, and this is launching, the full suite of the offering is launching the end of the month, or again in early October. So I just wanted to put a little plug there that this is coming, and we're really excited about that. In addition to that, we also already have the manager view. So for this view, I'm going to just, give me a sec. I timed out.
Got kicked out.
Yes.
Good
Okay.
to know we're secure.
I know. Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, here we go. Now I just have to figure out how to share again.
Okay.
Okay. So as I was mentioning before, that we nope, I just have to share the right screen. Here we go. We believe it's very important for managers to have access to the system and be informed. So this is the view where a manager can see all of the different direct reports they have with upcoming leaves. For every leave, they can click into this and they will have their own manager leave plan. So it works very similar to how an employee leave plan works, but it's designed to be for the manager. So how does a manager get into trouble when it's FMLA, what they should or shouldn't say? We also can customize any of the resources that you would like to provide to managers. So we have a lot of customers who give extra training or want them to have checklists, or maybe they have backfill plans that they want them to fill out, all kinds of things that we see here. But the main thing is we want managers to know, what are the legal obligations for the company? What are the things they need to watch out for? How do they support their employee without saying something or acting out of turn? And then, like I mentioned before, really one of the important things is that they need to know all of the time. So when an employee is taking intermittent leave, again, the manager is going to get notified. They're going to see the dates. They're going to know that an employee has requested more time. So all of that is visible to the manager at any point in time. All right, Linz, I think, is there any other questions that we should answer?
I do not think so. I was just scrolling through the chat. I think that's everything.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we wanted to tease that's coming. So again, we have call support coming. So employees will be able to call in and do intake over the phone. They can ask questions, or they can change their leave dates. All of that will then feed into the system. We also have a pre-leave planner coming very soon. So this means that employees can plan their leave in private. They don't have to submit a leave in order to see what they might be eligible for. And then we also have the form assistance coming. So again, we'll be able to pre-populate all of the important forms that a lot of you are having to kind of do manually. So things like short-term disability forms, state benefit forms will all be in the tech and pre-populated for you. Awesome. If you have any other questions, Lyndsey and I ourselves actually monitor this email, this email inbox. So it will be one of us who gets back to you. So please feel free to reach out. And we also have a free ebook if you want to scan the QR code. Our leave compliance team worked on that with our marketing team, and it's really helpful resource.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessi. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.